Educate yourself every day. Stay ahead of 99% of people. Chapter 1. The Wake-Up Call. Why most people stop growing. Most people stop learning the moment they leave school. They believe graduation is the finish line, when in truth, it's just the starting line of real life. Think about it. How many people do you know who read one book a year? How many spend hours scrolling through social media, yet say, "I don't have time to learn"? They wake up, go to work, come home, eat, watch TV, and repeat. 5 years later, same job, same salary, same mindset. They're not living. They're just repeating the same year of life 60 times and calling it experience. But here's the truth. If you're not learning, you're dying. Slowly. Because the world keeps moving forward. New skills are born every year, new technology, new opportunities. And if you stop growing, the world won't wait for you. It will leave you behind. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Alvin Toffler. Education doesn't end when school ends. That's where real education begins. The education that shapes your mind, your income, your relationships, your future. Let me give you a real story. There was a young man named Jack. After college, he landed an average job and thought life was set. 5 years later, his friends started getting promotions, moving abroad, starting businesses, and he was still stuck at the same desk. One day, he asked his boss, "Why do others grow so fast?" The boss replied, "Because they never stopped learning." That hit him hard. From that day, Jack decided to learn something new every day. A book, a course, a podcast. 2 years later, he became the manager. 5 years later, he owned his own company. The difference wasn't luck. It was daily education. And that's your wake-up call. You can't change your past, but you can rewrite your future by feeding your mind every day. Because success is not built in one day. It's built day by day with every small lesson you learn and apply.
Chapter 2. The Power of Self-Education. Jim Rohn once said, "Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune." School gives you the basics: reading, writing, math. But self-education gives you something far greater: wisdom, awareness, confidence, freedom. In school, they teach you how to memorize. But in life, you must learn how to think. And those who keep learning on their own, they become unstoppable. Let's take examples. Elon Musk taught himself rocket science by reading books and asking questions. Steve Jobs dropped out of college but never stopped learning about design, calligraphy, and human psychology. Warren Buffett spends 5 to 6 hours a day reading and thinking. They all understood one truth: the more you learn, the more valuable you become. Self-education is not about collecting facts. It's about changing who you are. When you read a book, you don't just gain information. You gain new eyes to see the world differently. You begin to notice opportunities others can't. You start thinking differently. You start living differently. There's a story of a man named Tom. He worked as a mechanic, fixing cars for years. One day, he started listening to audiobooks about business while working. He didn't go back to college, he just kept learning on his own. Within 3 years, he opened his own auto shop. Within 5, he had 3 locations and employed others. He wasn't born rich. He wasn't lucky. He was self-taught. And that's what separates dreamers from doers. Most people say, "I wish I could." Few people say, "I'll learn how." So the question isn't whether you can, it's whether you're willing to learn. Because education today is everywhere. On YouTube, in podcasts, online courses, books, and even in conversations. There's no excuse anymore. Ignorance is a choice. When you commit to self-education, something powerful happens. You stop waiting for permission. You stop needing approval. You take control. You become the driver of your destiny, not the passenger of your past. Remember this. Every time you open a book, watch an inspiring video, or listen to a great mind speak, you are rewiring your brain to think bigger, act stronger, and live wiser.
Chapter 3: The 1 Hour Rule. The Secret That Changes Everything. What if I told you that just 1 hour a day could change your life completely? 1 hour doesn't sound like much, right? But watch what happens when you add it up. 1 hour a day equals 7 hours a week. 7 hours a week equals 30 hours a month. 30 hours a month equals 365 hours a year. That's the same as studying 9 university-level courses every single year without ever enrolling in school again. 1 hour a day to read, listen, or reflect. That's how you move ahead of 99% of people. Let's see how this rule plays out in real life. Example 1. The investor. A man spends 1 hour each night learning about money, reading books, watching finance videos. In 1 year, he understands how to invest. In 3 years, he builds a portfolio. In 5, he's financially free. Not because he's smarter, but because he gave his mind 1 hour of power every day. Example 2. The speaker. A shy woman decides to learn public speaking, just 1 hour a day. She watches TED Talks, reads Talk Like TED, practices in front of a mirror. 2 years later, she becomes a confident presenter. 3 years later, she's paid to speak on stage. Example 3. The learner. A student who failed English begins studying 1 hour daily with audiobooks and YouTube lessons. 6 months later, he's fluent. 1 year later, he's teaching others. That's the power of compound learning. Small, consistent progress that multiplies over time. You don't need 10 hours a day. You don't need a university. You just need discipline and a plan. Wake up 1 hour earlier. Cut 1 hour of scrolling. Turn your commute into a classroom. Transform wasted time into wisdom. And soon, people will ask, how did you become so smart, so confident, so successful? And you'll smile, because you will know the truth. You didn't do anything special. You just used your 1 hour every single day. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Benjamin Franklin.
Chapter 4. The 4 Pillars of Growth. What you must learn to rise above. Now that you understand the power of daily learning, it's time to talk about direction. What exactly should you learn? Because not all knowledge is equal. Some things fill your head, others fill your life. If you want to become the 1%, focus on these 4 pillars of growth. Each one will elevate you higher than you can imagine. Pillar 1. Learn about yourself. This is the foundation of everything. Most people know more about celebrities, sports, or gossip than they know about themselves. They know their favorite actor's birthday, but they don't know why they keep repeating the same mistakes.
They know every new trend, but not what truly makes them happy. If you don't understand yourself, you'll live your whole life chasing the wrong things. Self-knowledge is power. It helps you control your emotions, your habits, your reactions, and your choices. Start with small reflections. What motivates me? What drains my energy? When do I feel most alive? What kind of person do I want to become? You don't need a therapist to begin. You just need honesty and awareness. Read books on psychology. Write in a journal. Spend 10 minutes quiet each day reflecting. Because when you know who you are, you stop trying to be someone else, and that's when your real growth begins. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, by Aristotle. Pillar 2. Learn about money. Let's be real. Money isn't everything, but without it, you can't do much. Most people spend their lives working for money, but the successful learn how to make money work for them. They understand how money moves, grows, and multiplies. They learn about saving, investing, creating value, and building assets. You don't need to be rich to start learning. You need to start learning to become rich. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Watch finance channels. Study how the wealthy think, not to imitate, but to understand. Every dollar you earn can either feed your lifestyle or fund your freedom. Ask yourself, do I want to look rich or be free? Learn to control money or money will control you. Pillar 3. Learn about people. No matter what you do, you'll always deal with people. Coworkers, family, customers, leaders. If you can't connect with people, you'll always struggle. But if you can, the world will open its doors to you. Study communication, learn empathy, observe body language. Read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The more you understand people, the more influence you have. Because success isn't built alone, it's built through relationships. A person who can make others feel valued will always be valuable. Your network is your net worth. Pillar 4. Learn new skills. The world is changing faster than ever. AI, technology, creativity, everything evolves. What got you here won't get you there. So keep learning skills that the future needs: communication, storytelling, leadership, coding, design, content creation, or public speaking. Don't say, I can't do that. Say, I can learn that. Every skill you gain makes you stronger, more adaptable, and more confident. Imagine this: if you learn one new skill every 6 months, in 5 years, you'll master 10 powerful abilities, while others are still complaining about how life is unfair. That's how you rise above. When you build on these 4 pillars, yourself, money, people, and skills, you create a foundation that nothing can break. You'll be prepared for every storm and ready for every opportunity. Because knowledge doesn't just change what you know, it changes who you are.
Chapter 5. Destroy the lies holding you back. Let's be honest. The hardest part about learning isn't finding time. It's fighting your own excuses. There are 4 lies that kill more dreams than failure ever will. Let's destroy them one by one. Lie 1. I don't have time. No, you have time. You just waste it. You have time to watch Netflix, time to scroll social media, time to gossip or play games, but when it's time to learn, suddenly you're too busy. Here's the truth. If something is important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. 1 hour a day is only 4% of your day. Wake up earlier.
Cut one show. Use your commute. That's all it takes. Successful people aren't busier than you. They're just better at choosing how to spend their time. Lie 2. I'm too old. No, you're not. Colonel Sanders started KFC at 65. Nelson Mandela became president at 75. Ray Kroc built McDonald's in his 50s. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. Learning keeps your mind young. It keeps you curious, alive, and growing. Age doesn't stop you. Excuses do. Lie 3. I'm not smart enough. Wrong again. Intelligence is not a gift. It's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You don't need to be a genius. You need to be consistent. Even the smartest people started as beginners. Einstein once said, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer." You don't fail because you're dumb. You fail because you give up too soon. Stay with it. Study again, try again, and again. That's how you get smart. Lie 4. It's too hard. Of course it's hard. Everything great is hard before it becomes easy. Remember when you couldn't ride a bike, or drive, or use a computer? You failed, struggled, fell, but you learned, and now you don't even think about it. That's the magic of persistence. Every skill feels impossible until you master it. Then it becomes natural. So stop running from hard things. Run toward them, because that's where growth lives. Every time you hear that little voice saying, "Not today," remember this. That voice is the old you, the weak version, the lazy one. And every time you choose to learn instead, you're building the stronger version. The more you learn, the louder that strong voice becomes. And one day, that weak voice disappears, replaced by the voice of confidence, focus, and power.
Chapter 6. Make learning a lifestyle. Here's the secret. You don't need to find time to learn. You need to build a lifestyle that never stops learning. Education shouldn't feel like homework. It should feel like breathing. Natural, daily, automatic. Let me show you how. 1. Turn your phone into a classroom. You already carry the world's greatest library in your pocket, so use it. Unfollow useless content. Follow great minds, entrepreneurs, scientists, thinkers. Listen to podcasts while walking. Watch educational videos instead of random clips. Turn your scrolling time into study time. Every minute on your phone can either drain your brain or train your brain. Choose wisely. 2. Read or listen every day. Even 10 pages a day means 3,650 pages a year, about 15 books. That's 15 mentors teaching you directly. If you hate reading, try audiobooks. You can learn while cooking, driving, or exercising. No more excuses. Because in a world where people waste hours watching strangers live their lives, reading makes you live your own. 3. Take notes and reflect. Don't just consume, capture. Write what you learn. Reflect on how you can apply it. Knowledge without action is entertainment. Knowledge with action is transformation. Keep a learning journal. Every day, write down one thing you learned and how you'll use it. In a year, you'll have a book written by your own growth. 4. Surround yourself with learners. You become like the people around you. If your friends waste time, you'll waste time. If they grow, you'll grow.
Find a community that values learning, online or in real life. Talk about ideas, not people. Discuss progress, not problems. Because when you walk with learners, you'll never walk backward. 5. Teach what you learn. One of the fastest ways to master something is to teach it. Explain it to others, even if you're still learning yourself. Share a quote, a story, a lesson. When you teach, you reinforce what you know and deepen your understanding. And the best part? You inspire others to start learning too. Learning isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about being better than others. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. So instead of saying, "I'll start next week," say, "I'll start now." One video, one book, one idea, every single day. Because when learning becomes your lifestyle, growth becomes your identity. And when growth becomes your identity, success becomes inevitable. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. Mahatma Gandhi.
Transition to Chapter 7. Now that learning has become a part of your daily life, it's time to see what it gives you. Something far greater than money, fame, or titles. It gives you freedom. In the next chapter, you'll discover how self-education sets you free, financially, mentally, and spiritually. Chapter 7. The enemies of learning: fear, ego, and comfort. If learning makes you powerful, then ignorance isn't just weakness, it's a trap. And there are 3 silent enemies that kill your desire to learn: fear, ego, and comfort. 1. Fear. Fear says, "What if I fail? What if I'm not smart enough? What if people laugh at me?" But listen, fear doesn't mean stop. Fear means go anyway. Because the people who change the world feel fear too. They just don't let it decide their future. Feel the fear and do it anyway. You might fail once, twice, 10 times, but every failure is a lesson that no classroom could ever teach. Each mistake makes you wiser, tougher, and closer to mastery. So don't fear failure. Fear staying the same. Ego. Ego whispers, "I already know enough. I don't need to learn from anyone." But the moment you think you know everything, that's the moment you stop growing. Ego blinds you. It turns potential into pride and pride into stagnation. The best learners are humble. They ask questions. They listen. They learn from everyone, from billionaires to baristas. A wise man once said, "In every person there is something I can learn." Drop your ego, pick up curiosity. That's how you keep rising when others stop. Comfort. Comfort is the deadliest of them all. It doesn't scream. It whispers, "Relax. You've done enough. You deserve a break." And while you're resting too long, your dreams are quietly fading. Comfort steals your hunger. It kills your fire. So remember this: growth never lives in comfort. Every time you push your limits, when you study instead of scroll, read instead of rest, practice instead of postpone, you're training your mind to win. Because winners aren't smarter. They're just more uncomfortable, more often. So destroy your fear, crush your ego, escape your comfort. That's how you keep your mind sharp and your future alive.
Chapter 8. The New You. Transformation through Daily Education. When you start learning every day, something magical happens. Slowly at first, then all at once. You begin to see the world differently. You understand things faster. You make better choices. You talk with confidence. You start inspiring others, not because you're special, but because your light shines brighter than before. That's what knowledge does. It transforms you from the inside out. You become more aware. You stop reacting emotionally. You start thinking critically. You stop blaming others and start taking responsibility. You stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "How can I?" You become calm, focused, and unstoppable. You build discipline. When you study daily, you train your willpower. You no longer need motivation. You become it. People around you notice. They feel your energy. They see your consistency. And soon they'll say, "I wish I had your focus." But what they don't see is the hours you invested when no one was watching. The early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices. That's the price of transformation, and you've paid it, one day at a time. You create new opportunities. Education doesn't just make you smarter, it makes you visible. You start attracting better jobs, better friends, better ideas. Doors open because you have value, and value always wins. Remember, the world doesn't pay for time. It pays for value, and value comes from learning. So as you evolve, your world expands. The old you fades away, and the new you, sharper, wiser, stronger, takes over. Every book you read, every lesson you learn, adds another layer to the person you were meant to become. And one day you'll look back and say, "I'm not who I used to be, and I never want to be that person again."
Chapter 9. The Legacy. Learn, teach, and inspire. Now you've built the habit. You've changed your life. But there's one final level, the highest level of learning: teaching others. Because when you share what you learn, you multiply it. Knowledge is like fire. It doesn't lose its light when shared. It spreads. So don't keep your lessons to yourself. Teach your kids. Inspire your friends. Help a stranger online. Start a channel. Write. Speak. Lead. You don't need to be a guru. You just need to be one step ahead of someone else. Because your story, your growth, your voice can be the reason someone doesn't give up today. That's how you create legacy, not by living forever, but by lighting minds that keep burning after you're gone. Final message: the unstoppable learner. Let this be your reminder. Every single day is a chance to rise, to learn, to grow, to become the person your younger self dreamed of. No one's coming to save you. No teacher, no boss, no system. But you can save yourself with education, discipline, and daily action. A man who learns every day becomes unstoppable. A man who stops learning becomes replaceable. So keep learning, keep improving, keep building. Because 5 years from now, you will arrive somewhere. And the question is, where do you want to be? If you start today, if you commit to 1 hour of learning, 1 page of wisdom, 1 new idea, your future self will thank you.
you'll stand taller, speak stronger, and live freer. And one day, when others ask, "How did you do it?" you'll smile and say, "I educated myself every single day."
If this video inspired you or helped you learn something new, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Motivation to Study English for 30 minutes every day. Your support is the energy that keeps us creating better and more meaningful videos every single day.